What is going on, you guys? Bastion YGO here, and today we're doing another before you buy video, guys, but this time we're going to be doing it for the Labyrinth archetype coming out of Tactical Masters within the next week or two. So be very excited to go ahead and check this out for you guys. If you guys have not seen it, we just posted the one for Runic archetype for you guys. If you guys have not checked that out, definitely go ahead and do so. Link will be in the description, and I'll also leave a card up here at the top left right hand corner. You guys already know the drill as far as that goes. So without further ado, guys, I just want to go say a quick thank you for everyone who subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and commented on all the videos, guys. You guys are the real MVPs. Appreciate you so much for supporting the channel in such a way. Love to see that it's been growing so much recently. And honestly, guys, I absolutely love every single second I am out here in front of this computer alone in my room. But thank you guys so much for subscribing. If you guys do want to see more content like this, definitely make sure to hit the subscribe button if you have not done so already. And be sure to follow me on Instagram, guys. If you guys want to stay on top of any type of updates, news as far as the channel goes, that's going to be the best place to do it. But now, before you buy is a series I've been doing on the channel for some time now, where I go ahead and analyze the best archetypes coming out. Not just the best, but every single archetype essentially that's going to be coming out of the next few sets, unless it's absolute dog water, doo-doo garbage like Vernisyphilis trash over there. And I refuse to talk about it until it becomes meta. Then I might talk about it. We'll see. If you guys really want to see me talk about it, let me know in the comment section down below. But today we're going to be talking about the Labyrinth archetype, guys, for the before you buy. This is a series where we analyze the 3 pros and 3 cons for each and every single deck coming out of each and every single set for Yu-Gi-Oh! Unless, like I said, there's absolute doggy doo-doo. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more about the archetypes, some pros, maybe some cons, maybe what you like, maybe what you don't, go ahead and make sure you stick around for the entire video, and so we can learn a little bit more about the archetype together. So without further ado, let's get started with the pros. Pro number 1 for the Labyrinth archetype is going to be its control. So overall, what I mean by this control, yes, it is a control deck. Essentially, by definition, you're trying to control the field by inconveniencing your opponent little by little, but the way this does it is very unique. It does it through getting an army, essentially, of different types of normal trap cards on the field. Specifically, normal trap cards, no counter, no continuous, so it's not really going to be like a floodgate type deck like True Draco or Eldritch, anything like that. It's going to be more of an even trade type of deck, which is really going to be more of an interesting take, at least on the control archetypes, yeah, I said that right, control archetypes. So it's gonna be really cool to go ahead and see. So it plays a lot of cards that it essentially rolls on normal trap cards that can remove monsters off the field. So Ice Dragon's Prison, compulsory evacuation device, those are going to be essential cards in this strategy as well. So this is something that we haven't really seen before, so I definitely like the overall playstyle of the deck. But the way it overall works, it really just is going to make your opponent think twice before they actually get a monster on board, because they know that second a monster slaps down, you're going to have some crazy trap card to go ahead and deal with it. A compulsory evacuation device, as long as you have the right cards on board, can actually be so much more, because you're getting a monster off the field, and if you have the field spell on board, you get to pop a monster your opponent controls as well, or pop a card. And then if you have the Labyrinth boss monster on board, she gains effects as well, letting you set certain trap cards, different trap cards I should say, from your deck to your field. Absolutely insane, guys. Just letting you continuously just recur a whole bunch of trap cards onto your field and constantly just inconvenience, I think, is the best ways to your opponent, which I think is really cool. Having those one-on-one trade-offs, but is so but make it so efficient that you're constantly just recycling your resources and constantly having a whole bunch of really impactful trap cards set on your field. And the synergy with the whole Labyrinth archetype is just so well with the overall strategy you're trying to go ahead and pull off, that you're gonna have your opponents literally quivering in their boots, shaking in their boots, however you want to say it, before they get any monster on the field. I think it's gonna be particularly strong against the Sprite archetype, but again, we'll have to wait and see exactly how this plays out. Second pro I have for the Labyrinth archetype, it's its snowball effect. So what do I mean by snowball? Snowball is, when referring in Yu-Gi-Oh aspects, is when a deck may start off a little bit slow, but if it gets going, if it gets a chance to get its resources either in the graveyard or in banish, however that archetype seems to work, it will get increasingly harder to go ahead and play against this deck the longer the duel goes on, and I think that's just the case with the Labyrinth archetype. Having nearly an endless pool of trap cards to choose from, I think Labyrinth is going to be one of the better decks definitely to choose from the Tactical Masters. Definitely going to be between either the Labyrinth or the Runic archetype. I think Labyrinth has a bit more of a balance to it as well, which I think definitely plays into it, but its snowball ability is something that's definitely worth it. You need to fear, essentially. So what I mean by this, guys, so a lot of the Labyrinth trap cards as well have effects in the graveyard also. So when you're activating different trap cards, they gain effects to go ahead and reset themselves. So for example, Welcome Labyrinth, which then lets you special summon any Labyrinth monster from your deck for free, which is crazy. So you can summon out your boss monster for free without having to worry about anything, and then when if she's on the field and you activate a trap card, she gains effect as well, and just continuously snowballs into something absolutely just ridiculous, guys. And like I said before, guys, when it comes to the overall control aspect of it, these two go hand in hand. I'm telling you right now, guys, when you go up against a Labyrinth deck in about 2 to 3 weeks, you guys are really going to want to think twice before you summon out your monster and it gets compulsed and a whole bunch of other nonsense goes down. I'm telling you right now, this deck is actually really crazy. And for the third pro I have going for this deck, guys, is going to be that it does not rely at all on the extra deck whatsoever. It does not need an extra deck monster. It does not have an extra deck monster, which is kind of a bit more rare in more recent archetypes, but definitely something that I approve of and I condone. So the reason behind this is because one of the most I guess hated cards in current Yu-Gi-Oh right now is definitely going to be Artifact Sight, of course. Anything that would stop you from special summoning, Vanity's Ruler as well, things like that. Just really make the Mystic Mine also just really make it slow down Yu-Gi-Oh so much to the point where it becomes a little bit more gray and dull. So I think after these three cards essentially leave the game, maybe not Vanity's Ruler, since that kind of specifically for Drytron players, which is not really too many of them out there anymore, unfortunately. Even though I think it's still a solid deck to play, the fact that this deck does not care at all about Mystic Mine or about Artifact Scythe is actually crazy. So you can play, it also gives you the opportunity to play other types of cards, whether it be Pot of Prosperity, you just banish 6 every single time, except for the third time, of course, you can't. To go ahead and dig deeper through your deck for that one specific trap card or that one specific field spell that you might need. Or you can also play cards like Pot of Extravagance and not have to worry about the repercussions of having to go ahead and banish 6 random cards face down from your extra deck. The only reason this might hurt you is if you're playing the Dogmatica package in your Labyrinth deck, and you're playing Dogmatica Punishment, which is a very powerful normal trap card as well, which does remove cards from your opponent's field. So there's definitely a card that I would recommend playing. But it is a card that's the only card that is going to be relying on the extra deck, but the deck itself does not care about the extra deck whatsoever, guys. So being able to play more consistently cards is definitely huge for a deck like this. It's very similar to Draco and Eldritch in that sense, is that it doesn't really care about the extra deck. It can go into it, but it's not something that's going to be necessary for the deck, which means it's not going to be reliant on having to play extra deck boss monsters in order to get over your monsters. It strictly relies on the core of the deck, which is going to be just trap cards going off constantly. You have Welcome Labyrinth, which, like I said before, special summons a Labyrinth monster from your deck, and then you have Labyrinth Barrage, which I believe is the one that lets you copy the previously activated normal trap cards effect and doubles down on it, so you can compulse 2 at the same time. Absolutely nuts, guys. So honestly, these are going to be the 3 pros for me, guys, and this is going to be essentially enough to put fear in any duelist out there. I think this is going to be a really cool deck. I could very easily see this being a top tier 2 deck, if not very bottom tier 1 deck. Will it compete with Sprite? Honestly, I think it will. Tier Elements, it's gonna have. I think it's gonna be having a rougher time versus Tier Elements. It has a rough time going second, but if we can find a way to help this deck go second, I think it could be really interesting to see its full potential be actually shown to the world. Especially like Tier Elements. Tier Elements, I know for the most part does tend to struggle a little bit going second, but like I said, the community finds a way to go ahead and help that deck progress. Same way how they're going to be doing with Labyrinth, guys. You can mix it with so many things. You can mix it with Trickstar, Paleo, other trap-based decks, guys. Essentially, this is not going to be a standalone deck whatsoever, just because it's going to need a lot more engine cards, a lot more showstopper cards in order for it to be really good. But that segues actually pretty well onto the cons, guys. So without further ado, we've already looked at 3 pros. Let's check out some of the cons of the deck. Alright guys, so as far as the cons goes, con number 1, it is, as any trap deck should be, it is slow. So, and this kind of, it sounds funny when I say it, and it's kind of obvious, of course, but unfortunately this is the truth of the matter, is that the deck is extremely slow, and it does have a bit of a tough time going second. It's not like Eldritch where it can go second and you can just use the Golden Lord's effect, you know, get rid of cards, things like that. It really needs a little bit more of a setup than that, unfortunately, and you can't really rely on Mystic Mind because you kind of need the field spell as well in order to really maximize your trap cards going off. So it's a little bit of give and take, because a deck that I don't think will be able to maximize on being able to play Mystic Mind right off the bat. I think it's maybe you play a card like, playing cards like Metaverse might be able to go ahead and help you out, it being a normal trap card, and maybe Demise of the Land so you can switch in and out of the field spells depending on what you want to prioritize. I think it would be really beneficial. Activating the Labyrinth field spell during your opponent's turn while maybe you started off with Mystic Mind to go ahead and maximize the effect of your trap cards is something that could definitely be very beneficial. But at the end of the day, the deck is extremely slow, I should say, and does not have the best turn 1 board or immediate board going first unless you're able to have that field spell up. Con number 2 for the deck, guys, it is a reactive deck. So there's a huge difference between having a control proactive deck and a control reactive deck. A proactive deck is going to be something like I mentioned before, like the True Draco strategy, which just flips floodgates before your opponent can do anything. It's a very proactive strategy, less of a reactive strategy, whereas I would argue that Labyrinth is strictly a reactive strategy, has no proactive whatsoever, because essentially you're waiting for your opponent to do something in order for yourself to be able to gain that much more advantage, and that something is having a monster on their board, which if you're playing against a deck like Runics, it has zero effect whatsoever, which is something that's you know, to be considered as well. Do I believe Runic has a perfect matchup against Labyrinth? No, I think it has a good advantage, but I mean, that's getting a little bit further away from the topic. What is a little bit unfortunate is that you're always constantly feeling like you're waiting for your opponent to either make a mistake, or you're waiting for your opponent to either overcommit to a specific play, which means your timing and knowledge of all decks needs to be on point for you to know exactly where the bottleneck effects are, or the bottleneck parts of each combo are for each and every single other deck, so you know exactly when to hit it and how to hit it as well. Some decks, Compulsing might be superior to activating Ice Dragon's Prison, and vice versa, things like that. Maybe Dogmatic Punishment is the best course of action, but you won't know until you're actually able to understand that interaction. So while on the surface it may also be a very temptingly easy deck to play, I think overall mastering it is really going to be one of the toughest decks to play, just because you need to have so much knowledge of not just your deck but each and every single other deck out there. So that's the only issue I have with reactive decks, is that you can't just flip Skill Drain, you can't just flip Macrocosmos and call it a day, things like that. So that's something that's definitely, I believe, worth considering when thinking about picking up this deck or not. But I definitely feel like the more proactive control decks are going to be the more superior ones, at least in Yu-Gi-Oh's history, from what I have experienced. If you guys disagree with me, definitely go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below on that one. This is the one point that I definitely want to know you guys' opinions on and discuss with you guys in the comments as well. It's because I'm a little torn whether the reactive decks or the proactive control decks, reactive control decks or proactive control decks are superior, and you guys let me know in the comment section down below for sure. Alright guys, so wrapping it up for the cons, we have a really big one, is that the deck has absolutely no negates whatsoever. So yes, not being reliant on the extra deck is cool, and it's nice to not have to worry about, whether you flip Scapegoat to summon Shirag the Omen or not, Trickstar things. But the biggest issue with the deck that I'm seeing right now is that it has zero negates whatsoever. So it prides itself on just removing cards from your opponent controls, whether it be traps. Primarily it's going to be monsters your opponent controls, but it doesn't really have any negates of itself, at least not that I have found through my research. Now, if you guys know of any specific Labyrinth negations, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. All I know for a fact as far as Labyrinth is concerned is that it's very good recursion, very good grindability. Grind game definitely is a huge one for Labyrinth, but its overall weakness is that it has 0 negations whatsoever. So setting up your first board, you're probably going to have the field spell, most likely no monsters on board, and you're going to be just set 3 or 4 traps, and that's going to be your 5-card opening hand. There's really not much that Labyrinth can essentially do, at least its pure version. Like I said, in the before you buy videos I've been making, primarily I have been looking at more or less the pure archetype on its own. Yes, I mentioned how it can mix very well with certain specific decks here and there, just to give you guys an idea of what I believe will be meta, or what I believe will bring out the true potential of a specific deck. But thinking about it from a pure perspective, guys, Labyrinth does not have any type of real negations. It just really amplifies the effects of normal trap cards that we all know and love already. And I think it does that extremely well. So overall, my verdict of the deck, I think it's going to be a tier 2 deck. Maybe if it gets really good and some genius out there like Pack or whatever understands the deck on the inside, it could be a very low tier 1 deck, potentially maybe tier 1.5 to 2, and that's going to be the ceiling for that deck, guys. But honestly, this deck is still regardless going to be a lot of fun to play, at least for myself, because I primarily pride myself on being a control player, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely being able to go ahead and play around with that, being able to have Compulse back into the metagame, definitely be not just nostalgic but really interesting as well. So that's going to be it for the video, guys, for the Labyrinth before you buy it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Let me know how you feel about proactive versus reactive control decks in the comment section down below. If there's something that maybe I misspoke, or maybe there's a way to mix Labyrinth with a specific archetype that makes it absolutely broken. Again, let me know in the comment section down below so I can go ahead and learn for myself as well. At the end of the day, guys, this is a community we are building, so we can all learn from each other. We can all learn from each other in the comment section down below, so we can all talk and discuss all things Yu-Gi-Oh! So if you guys did enjoy, go ahead and smash the like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.